Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Mystical Musings podcast. And I am really excited to share with you all that came through. So, we're going to begin with the opening song that really kicked off this whole different set of information that came through from Samael. And just know in this, like several of the more recent songs, this is definitely much more than a song. It is an entire little mini energy session. And so the last section of it, there is no sound, but there's a lot of important energy happening during that time. And Michael assures me that it's important to leave this in. So just know, again, please don't listen to this while you're driving. And then there'll be a period of silence, and then we'll come back in and you'll get to hear what Samael brought through Tava. And we will just go from there. So thank you again for joining us, and let's get started. Oh Are you okay?
Uh, I thought we were ending. I don't think we're quite ending. I have to show you something.
Okay.
First off, what the heck did you just bring through?
I
Uh,
am not entirely sure.
okay, okay. Folks, here goes a whole new can of worms. This is what he said. Falling and rising, Umshallah. Falling and rising. The circular path, with its root, leads through the doorways of the eight. Once there, it is not only the cycles that can be accessed. What comes next between the edges of the roads? Is it up to Amnivara or down into the unnamed realm? 888 and eternities glimpsed. And then the drawing began. You had me do the circles, and then coming off of the circle, a wavy line going up and a wavy line with like a little place dot going down and an eight superimposed on it. And then he had me take away the circles. You see the thing that's like an eight with a line sticking up from the top and going down from the bottom?
Yes.
Does that not look somewhat reminiscent of what you were drawing the other day that you Marcoed me about, except yours was sideways? And then he had me do these. And I'm going to make notes about what order they came in. This first one up here looks like an eight or an eternity symbol, and we know eight is sacred to Metatron, with a wavy line going up and down. You had a diagram or something in recent Marcos, and I think Jennifer Gerlando talked about it too. It almost looked like a notch or something, but it was sideways, and then it had lines.
Yes, let me look. So there were multiple things. There was that one that it sort of like has an infinity kind of symbol with it, but it's like an infinity symbol with almost like a diamond in the middle. I'm trying to find the original one I
Yes,
drew. If
yes,
not, I'll
that's
just
the one I'm
draw.
talking about.
All right, I'm just gonna draw
It had like a
another
diamond in the
one.
center.
Yes, and it did the way you drew the eight, where they're really thin, like they're long, thin sorts of
Yes.
parts, as opposed to like the fat, round kind of eight. That's yes. All right,
Okay, so the part that
let
I'm
me draw
missing
it
is
real
the
quick.
diamond, because then he had me draw this same symbol with the eight. Then there was a sideways version overlaid with it. That's the one that I labeled two.
Interesting. Yeah, so this is. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, yours has a diamond there. Oh my God. Okay, I think I get it. I think I get it. I'm drawing a diamond at that intersection. Okay. So then the third thing that he had me draw was to take basically the eight shape and turn it into two sets of those circles that joined at the same place, two sets of those looping pathways. They have one common point. And then he had me draw it bigger and add a dot. And he started to speak again. And he said, where you stand, back to back, the left and right hand paths joined, a map of many heavens. I I think your design, I left out the diamond part, but I think this is an energetic pathway, sort of for me, that's beyond the cycling of just traveling to other places and other lifetimes. Yours lays across it. And if we expand out those loops to be an eight, showing a common point. between them, where we stand back to back, the left hand and the right hand joint. Going up is the road to Amnivara, and going down is to as yet unnamed realm. I think that he is talking about him and Michael and
Yeah,
some sort of a map of many heavens. I think he's trying to show journeying or what it might. Michael was has been showing you there was the whole cylinder thing, and there was all of this as you've been doing the work and the road to Omnivara. I think your design and my design are supposed to fit together in some way, and that diamond shape on yours is stressing the point of intersection.
yeah. And when he said about us, something about which way will they go up to Omnivara or to the other, and us standing back to back, we were just talking at Fertile Ground about us offering some kind of paths because we were seeing how your work and my work intersect. It's like we'll both be working with Mary Magdalene, but we work with them like
In
in
different
a
ways.
completely different way. Or, we are working with these similar kinds of things, but we're working with them in sort of a right hand and left hand path. And we had talked about how interesting would it be for us to be offering something where we could be having our paths, basically those circles going off in the directions that we're facing, but the people and those paths coming back to the same point to compare their experiences. And I feel like that's like kind of like what you just drew and what he was talking about, how our paths, we're each facing a different direction, but the work cycles back around and it touches each other where our work overlaps. So if the two of us are standing back to back and we imagine the center or the starting point of the circles being the space between the smalls of our backs, and there's a circle that goes out and around and out in front of me and comes back around and ends in that spot, and there's same kind of things are happening with the circles as you're facing the other direction. But if we think of it not necessarily as a circle, but as when it comes around, so there's that spot that starts out, it goes out around from behind my back out in front of me, around and comes back between us, but then starts a circle of rotation out around the other side of you, goes out around you and back, that it's actually like a figure eight. And as people go through one path, if they continue, it's not individual circles that touch, but it could almost be like a figure eight where you kind of venture into the right hand path and you venture into the left hand path and you kind of cycle back and forth, so you're getting a more complete understanding of the whole. You're getting the sacred light and the sacred darkness. You're getting the left hand path and the right hand path, the way that Lilith works with you and the way that Lilith works with me, the way like it's seeming. And the other symbol that has been coming to me, and I was going back and forth making this symbol when I was singing, is a similar kind of thing but with angles. I don't know if you can.
I see it. Isn't that a rune too? I could be
it
wrong.
it might be. So for those I'm
It is.
not seeing this, it's kind of like taking a V, kind of going back and forth between like the point of a mountain and being a V. We will put we'll find a way of putting images of
We
this
have
so
to
that you
put
can see it.
diagrams up. It's not a rune. It just looks like another one I was remembering.
Yeah, and
Samael just said the true and is bouncing between what others perceive as or. So people always go, I'm on the left hand path or the right hand path. If we put them together and they are literally one continuous path that you can decide how often you dip into one or to the other, how often you walk into Omnivara versus the circles of whatever the heck I'm standing on. then that's truly it's bringing together. It's not just shunning or, it's giving or a joining point to become and. Oh my god.
And Keith and I were just talking yesterday about how valuable it is to have an understanding of both the sacred light and the sacred dark, and
Hmm.
how just how much more it helps with all of the work that you do to have an understanding of both.
Hmm. Well, and that's, I mean, that's essentially what this podcast has become, is
Yeah.
you bring in Michael and I bring in Samael, and you bring in the work that you do and I bring in the work that I do, and we set them up and they complement each other.
We
And
become a Reese's cup.
you, you're Michael's in my Samael. You're Samael's in my Michael.
Exactly.
Um, he just said undignified and then he laughed. Um, oh my God, Jen. So, oh, wait. End of the last podcast, you just said something about the spinning. There was something at the end of the last podcast about
Yes. All right.
Amnivara
And
and
I had the
spinning.
notes here. He said, Samuel, I had written it as Samael's last words in the podcast. What is the nature of illusion, Umshala? Oh, no. Well, go ahead and read it just for the heck.
Yes, I'm trying to find it. I know I have it in
Okay.
this notebook.
It was the, he said, camera obscura. Oh my gosh. And camera obscura is very
What?
much like this. Okay, so all right, I'll read what he said and then I'll tell
Okay.
you what I'm thinking. So he said camera obscura. You said I think he's trying to make an analogy here, but I'm not sure what. And he said, how will people approach the gate of Amnivara? They need to be spun.
And we're
And
looking at cycles.
at the time we were talking about that forward flipping over and over and over, like going forwards or going backwards, like the way that I guess sort of time slip or travel across realms. But what I'm thinking is, so he mentioned camera obscura, and camera obscura is where there's like, and you can make one in your room. There's actually, I'm going to put a link to this so that you can see it because I found it before the podcast and it's amazing. They completely blacked out every part of a room, including like this big window, and then just made like a dime size hole in this cardboard that they had put over top of it, but everything else was totally dark. And then on the walls opposite that circle was projected upside down and backwards the view of what was happening outside the room. So whatever's outside, so you actually saw a landscape projected onto the walls of the room, but the landscape was inverted and reversed. And it has to do with the way that the beams of light, it was saying something about that light like travels in a straight line. So if you have light approaching a point from like a steep angle up from the right down diagonally to the left, it's going to come through that hole and keep going diagonally to the left. If you have light coming from diagonally down from the bottom right and going up diagonally to the left, it's going to go through that hole that way. And somehow the way the light carries the information through that, when it's projected on the other side, it's inverted and reversed. And I'm kind of thinking of that hole, that spot between the light outside and the darkness inside the room. That's the spot between our backs. I'm standing facing the light with my back, with that hole between at my back. You're standing facing into the dark with your back there, and then that traveling of the energy back and forth makes like an inverted and reversed image on either side.
He just said inversion, and he talks about you inverting yourself. And then he said, did I not tell you to add light at the gathering? Do you remember us going to get my
Yes.
car and him talking about adding lights and color to the power of story.
Yes, and one of the parts of it, the part that made me now understand also part of what he was talking about, I think, with the camera obscura, is remember when we were in the car on the way back and he was talking about the rotations that I do, like that, like the rolling forward and backwards, like we were talking about in the last podcast.
Yes.
And he was saying that it actually happens because I'm going so quickly across one threshold to another, and that every time I cross a threshold from one like realm into another, I flip. So it's like, let's say I start out standing upright, and then I cross that first line, and then all of a sudden I'm upside down. And it sounds like I may be upside down and backwards. Then I cross the next line and I flip back around upright. And then I cross the next line and I flip back around, upside down. And that because I'm doing it at such speed, it seems as though it's a continuous thing, and it's one continuous, like, kind of tumbling forward motion, which is that trotting horse lantern that he was talking about. The appearance of a trotting horse comes from individual still pictures of a horse in different stages of trotting. But because it's spinning at such a speed, it looks like you're watching a little video of a horse trotting. And I was like, I think that's what the trotting horse lantern was, is
My
him
God.
alluding. And it's so funny because he told us this part in the podcast a month before we had the experience at Fertile Ground, where he was talking about how it only seems like I'm tumbling because I'm doing it at such speed.
This has been Physics and Brain Melt with your hosts. Oh my God. I just said to him as you were talking, because my brain is going, I just said, why now? Where did this come from? And he said, well, I speak when you are ready. And he
So,
now says, you have work to do. When do I
yes.
not? You have work to do. Oh, I know exactly what we got to go to lunch. We got work to do. We've got work to do. Okay,
Yeah.
I think he's like, you need to go chat this over. But the whole freaking camera obscura and all of this makes sense now because I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And the
I could
trotting
not.
horse lantern.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that in science class.
Yeah. Well,
Like
and
I've
at the
heard of a
time,
camera.
from the pieces of information we had, it still wasn't quite enough to put the puzzle together. It was like we were getting a sense that, from where I was and seeing the gates from Michael's perspective, and that you were seeing gates from an earthly perspective, like from the outside,
Mhm.
that at the time it was like, okay, well, something like as we go from one perspective to the other, somehow it shifts and different. But now I'm like, oh, this is totally what he was talking about. So now I'm really interested in the light. What was it he wanted us to add? Light and color. And so
Light and
that's going to
color.
have, that then has something to do with how it translates through that dot, maybe.
Hold on, he's saying something else. So just so you know, this is all said. He is sounding very merry and pleased with himself, which usually is a, hey kids, you're starting to get the lesson. He
Yay.
just said this. What is the edge between Michael and myself? Could you perhaps find it in your spine?
Fine. That's so interesting because I was just like when I
Talk
was
about
imagining us, I was like, it would be in the small of our backs.
backs to back.
Could you find it in your
In your
spine?
spine? What is the edge between Michael? Are you talking about spine as if like courage, like that we need to do?
I wonder if it's like along the chakra line. Like if think about like our central channel. So, oh my gosh. So our central channel goes,
Huh?
comes from way up above us in like light and comes through just in front of our spine, down and then out through like our perineum and down deep into the earth.
Okay.
So if the camera obscura thing, if I'm looking into the light and you're looking into the dark and there's the hole between us, what if there's a place along our central channel where it kind of switches? Because there's a place chakra wise. So your lower chakras have to do with how you're existing in this world, how you work in your tribe, and how you're working, like your connection to the earth and all those things.
Right, right.
And then right around your, like between like your solar plexus and your heart chakra is where there's like this shift between, in those like 3 or 4 inches between being in a place that is really like your solar plexus is really almost kind of interpreting, like bringing through the will and the things from the upper part and how you're manifesting things in the world. So it seems like somewhere around the the solar plexus, or the between the solar plexus and the heart chakra, might be sort of that place in between, like the sacred light and the sacred darkness, and the earth and the heavens, and all of those kinds of things. And that would be, if it's along your central channel, that's basically like your spine. Like it's like right and runs like right in front of your spine.
Okay, I have a little bit more. Why are you together? When you spin, how does one orient oneself? So I started thinking about spinning. And when you do twirl around, they tell you to make a point of reference that every time you spin, you look at something, right? So he talked about how does one get to Amnivara? They need
They
to
must be
be
spun.
spun. I'm wondering if he's talking about, when we were talking about the idea of the balance of the sacred light and the sacred dark, if there are those who sort of study the things that I study, who might be considered more left-hand path, for them to sort of have a foothold to be able to understand Michael and the opposite path from Omnivara and that work, they need a point of reference from where they stood in the dark. And those who have studied more with you might need a point of reference in order to completely be able to understand the other type of spinning. If we're going in opposite directions, but there's a reference point at the center where we both stand, they can begin to see more possibilities and wholeness. What they learned with you will inform how easily they are able to learn from me, and what they learned from me will help give them a point of reference and inform and make it easier for what they learned from you, because there's already a commonality of language and energies there. They're just like we always talk about Michael up here and Samael down here. They are that 888. They are the gate, right? There's that center point. Why are you together? I think he's telling us that if we were to put a curriculum like this together for people who wanted to venture into areas that are uncomfortable for them because they're so used to the other type of practice, that there definitely has to be that center point, and that's what we provide through our friendship and through the experiences that we've had. They will trust you because they trusted me. They will trust me because they trusted you, because we are back to back. We watch each other's back in the spaces. So although our experiences and our practices and the beings that we work with are sort of masters of opposite energies, there is going to be a uniqueness experience for those who do not separate them into two separate paths, but rather see them as reflections and inversions of the other as they travel. And it's going to give them comfort so that they can go deeper. I
Yeah.
don't know. Why are you together?
Wow.
Uh,
I mean, that really, you really, I think, just described it. And when you think about it, we talked about, like, I think in one of the very first podcasts, we talked about the idea of the elephant, and, like, we're just viewing the one part of the elephant.
Right.
And you think about, when you were talking about, if we stand back to back between the two of us, we can kind of see all of it. Like, I'm seeing half of it, you're seeing half of it. And if you're working from that point between us and you're cycling through what both of us are seeing, you're seeing a much, much more complete elephant. You're getting to see the elephant from all these different perspectives, and you have a much broader understanding and more complete understanding of the whole than if you're focusing on only one part. And with us being together, we can have an understanding of the parts that we would never be facing otherwise. Oh
It
boy.
just, he just said, so the singer says, standing in the elephant. She is right. She is right. Because we're back to back. We can't both be really touching the elephant. The only way we could do that is if we were inside the elephant, looking out, rather than being outward, looking
Looking
in.
in.
So, are you divine enough to inhabit? Of course. Oh my God, dude.
Oh, I want to hear this.
What is, are you divine enough to inhabit? Of course. He's telling us to stand inside the elephant. Limitless, Shala. Limitless. Because my first thought was, you can't stand inside an elephant.
But when I do energy sessions, that's what I do. I am inside them, working with inside them. And what I'm looking at is looking out and around inside them. It's so weird. I heard myself, I just explained this at the end of a session the other day, that because they were asking me, like, what sort of information, like, do I see what sort of trauma they're dealing with? Do I see what sort of past lives or whatever? And I realized, I was like, I'm working beyond that. Like, I'm working so far behind the scenes of all of it that it's like in the almost like primordial soup. It's in that darkness place, like behind everything. And I'm working from so far deep within that I'm beyond the stories, beyond the lifetimes, beyond the storylines and the things that we see as happening and that we frame in certain ways. Like, it's like I'm working at such a microscopic quantum kind of level that I don't see any of that. It's like I'm in this just dark space where all this, like, the pure potential before everything. And I feel like that has something to do with working inside the elephant, because that's how I've realized I'm working, is actually from inside, not from the outside.
He's he's completely on board with what you're saying. He's challenging me that I don't think about doing that. He just said, you see me outside, and yet do I not speak with your voice? And then he says, I choose not to seek control. And so it is channel, not possession. Okay. So you are very good at slipping inside. And it isn't something I've really thought of before, but I need to work on that. You're saying I need to work on that? Yes, she has it. You, he says you understand it. Be inside the elephant. I'm gonna have to. Oh, this is gonna be conversations.
Be
And I still
inside the
be
elephant.
inside the elephant. He seems to think you're already good at it.
I feel like if it were an energy session, I would be like, yeah, dude, we're totally there. But then
Well,
when I think about it in terms of us practically working, like teaching classes and working with people, that's when it gets muddy.
so
This is, oh my. So I drew this, I don't know, a day or two ago, and I thought that I was maybe screwing it up. And so I just kind of stopped. But I have a feeling this is somehow related. I started by drawing a circle, but as I went to connect the edge of the circle, it was like it bulged out a tiny bit, which made me think of looking at like a cross section of the eye. And I'd written, my first thought was oculus, eye, and then I made this additional circle that sort of came off to the side and connected it. Now, let me see if you can see it. I don't know. This feels somehow connected. It
okay.
feels like maybe the two of us and the eye, our perspective or something of how we're looking out.
No, not to bring up the Oculus thing, but do you remember earlier I said this will have to be a separate podcast, The Gates of Ovanji? Samael
Yes.
says those are in a place called the Temple of Oculus Dei, which is the name of one of the classes that I teach, the Temple of the Eye of God. Um, oh my
Well,
God, I
and
feel like we're so getting into. Why does this startle you? Inside is where the blood is. Don't you even start getting into blood,
oh
Samael.
my goodness, blood. That has been, that's
Why
been for
does this
our
startle you that I
listeners.
cause you to change? Okay, this is what he's talking about. I had people at Fertile Ground come up to me, and I've had a couple people say it since. I don't listen to myself when I'm channeling Samael. I just don't. And when I go to edit the podcast, I know I'm not going to change anything he said, so I just skip it. Like, unless I know I had a coughing fit while I was bringing him through, I just go, I'm not going to alter what he said, so it stays. And I tend to skip it. And so recently, I've had numerous people come up to me and say that when I'm channeling him and he is speaking, I sound different and like the energy in the room changes and that my cadence changes and everything. And I was not, I mean, I think I knew a little bit of it. I could feel him coming through, but I don't remember what I say when I'm doing deep channeling with him, like in a 4 mirrors ritual. So, Jen, I asked you because I had all these people say that, and you were like, absolutely, that's what that is. But it kind of startled me a little bit because I don't know. It's almost like I kind of feel like he's always right next to me. But I think there's not as much next to as I think there is. I think there's a more stepping in than I realize. And he said, why does this startle you that I cause you to change? And I think this is all getting, and then inside is where the blood is. There's been a whole blood thing too. This is going to be the most ridiculous podcast to try to edit.
Oh
I
my
don't even know
gosh.
how we're going to do this. I mean, I don't
I
even know if the last hour is going to make it in because it's so,
This is wild. The
this
fact
is
that all of this also relates to the blood is like,
inside is where the blood is. Samael, are you going to go into that now? You have work to do. You have work to do. You're not going to give me anything
so we
else on
have to
that
do
right now, are
work
you?
first before we get any insight on that.
He's so much like here, you can have this cookie after you do. You have work to do. Inside, you already said that. Inside
Inside.
is where the blood is. Inside the bone. Well, that's technically true, isn't it? I don't know. There's bone marrow. Is that blood? That's not blood.
Blood cells are made, I believe, or white blood cells, I think, are made in the bone marrow.
You're talking about white blood cells? Inside
Some
the
kind
bone,
of,
inside the bone.
I'm pretty confident blood cells are made inside the bone.
I don't,
Here, I'll look that up real quick.
he's inside is where the blood is. Inside the bone, is inside the bone something different than the blood? Are you talking about two different things? You have work to do, Umshala. He's gonna clam up now.
Yes, bone marrow produces blood. The primary site of I can't say that word. The process of creating new blood cells, producing billions of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets daily to replace old or damaged cells. This soft, spongy tissue is found in the center of bones, primarily the hips, ribs, and sternums in adults. Yeah, so that's where all the blood, like the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the platelets, are all made inside the bone. So that's the place where all these new blood cells are being created. So billions of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets daily to replace the old or damaged. I feel like, so inside the bone then, like
Inside
that's the
bone.
place that new things are created, and the blood carries oxygen and all and information. It carries, oxygen and the protector kinds of cells and all these things, and delivers it to all over the body.
Bone
And
is a
it's
vessel and
created.
structure. It's created in the bones?
Yeah, yeah. So within the center, within the bone, do you know like that spongy marrow?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why people will have like bone marrow transplants that have certain types of blood disorders and or like cancers and things. So if we think about it, inside the bone, if we're meant to be inside, that's within the structure where all like new things are created that are then disseminated throughout the whole body through the blood. So if you and I are to create something and we go within the bone of the elephant and we focus on bringing forth creating new things, and then we're sending it in multiple directions through the blood. The blood then is like the circles. It's like you and I, all right, this may be crazy, but if we
Can't be
are,
any
if
crazier.
inside, yeah, I'm like, what? This is now where the line is somehow. So if we are standing in that circle, like that little hole in the circle, like that spot where all the circles meet is between our backs, and we're standing inside the bone there, and we're creating things, and that's heading out like in the blood into the various places. Like the circulatory system cycles the blood through the body. Like in the body, it'll go up into the head and up and out to the arms and stuff, and it'll go down into your legs and back. Even the way that the blood flows kind of in your body, it's like it goes kind of down into your feet and back up and up into your head and back down, and it all comes through the heart.
Art.
But the marrow is where it's all created. That's where the new blood cells, the new things. So like if we're to create a program, then we would start within the marrow, within the bone, where the things are created, and then it's carried throughout the body, it's carried throughout the world, or our sphere of influence by the blood.
Okay. Uh, there's one more thing.
Oh boy.
You just said it all comes through the heart, and he repeated that. It all comes through the heart. Is there bone among the ash? Should she need it? What was transformed is still a gate.
So
I don't know that he's talking about, I think he's talking about the work, but I also think he's talking about, yeah.
icon. So there was something, all right, when he was, okay, he said, where is the line between Michael and Samael? Like between them, is it
Where's
along the
the
spine?
edge?
It's the heart chakra, because all of the work all of the blood goes
Goes through the
through the
heart.
body and goes through the heart. So the heart chakra, the center of the heart chakra, along the central column, along your central channel energetically, that is the spot where Michael meets Samael
Wings
in a
extend from the
spine.
heart. Wings extend from the heart. I thought, do you remember when we were talking about in Holy Roots, you walk into a room and you pull your wings out? It's a lifting of the heart. Is it a lifting of the heart? And then out through the spine.
And remember, he
Sacred
was saying
energy.
something about like angel wings. It's like they don't come from the back.
Yeah, but I don't remember where he said they come from.
I feel like
He
it
just
was
said,
like the center or the front.
yeah, there was something I think he's talking about the heart. The wings come from the heart. Black and white, black and white. There is in the book of Samael, there's a little icon I
Oh,
used to represent him that is one black wing and one white for angel and like angel and demon is what I thought it was, except that they both look like angel wings. What if what if it is Michael and myself? Are you playing with me now?
I don't think so.
Wings come from the heart. Wings come from the heart. Dude, it all comes through the heart. And is there bone among the ash, should she need it?
I remember hoping when the vet said, so for everybody, when we had to euthanize my heart horse a couple weeks ago, the vet had said, when you get the ashes back, be aware it's not fine like ash, like it's chunky, like there are pieces of things in it. And I remember thinking, oh, I hope there's bone. Like, I hope there's a bone and that I could get a bone from his ashes, and felt like that was important. So he said, is there bone among the ash? Or there is bone among the ash should she need it?
He said, and is there bone among, he's doing his rhetorical question thing. And is there
Is
bone
there
among the
bone among
ash,
the
should
ash?
she need it? But if blood is generated in the bone, and the bone is now ash, and he talked about using ash as blood to consecrate. Are you trying to say it's all the same? No, no, no. Do not start off on the nature of the body. No, no, no.
Well,
We need
and
a
then he
simple
had said blood connection, earth blood connection
earth bud connection and the
with
red and
icon
the,
and the horse red and
yeah, there's what was transformed is still a gate. I think are you trying to say that even though it might not be in the form of blood, energetically, it can be used the same? Yes. So the bone, the ash, all of that energetically can be used the same, even though it's not technically that substance, it's not liquid. Yes, add oil. Energetically, he's saying if you need it, you can use anything in there. Huh.
I keep thinking, how am I gonna need it?
I
What
don't
am I gonna
know.
be doing with
I
this?
don't know, but
And
he
yet I've
seemed,
had the sense that like, oh, I need a bone and oh, I should have gotten blood.
yeah,
Like,
there's a like a need there for it, and he's trying to say you have the materials. He hasn't said what it's for. I will not
I
tell
am.
you everything, Umshalla. I have to admit, this has been a lot today. This is these diagrams are still making me lose my mind.
I'm
But
so
you're right.
interested.
The blood all goes through the heart, where you stand back to back, the left and the right hand paths joined. A map of many heavens. Man, that'd be a great title for a book.
Yeah.
A map of many heavens.
And I know in Holy Fire Reiki, the term heavens really refers to realms, like
Yeah.
realms of consciousness and existence.
Hmm. Yeah, because he's the heaven is among the day, that it's a state, that it's a type of consciousness rather than like just a location. Inversion. Did I not tell you? There is so much on these pages, girl.
My goodness, that was some really important, juicy stuff. And it's so funny. I'm like, okay, so do I sing again? Because, or do we be like, we'll just put like a soothing or something thing at the
You might
end?
need like a piece and Reese. I'm a little worried that if you sing again, we're going to end up with
Well,
another hour of
exactly.
him
I'm like,
talking about. She's going to get off on a kick about. I mean, good Lord, there's so many pages from today.
yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I have a feeling if I sing again, we're just going to keep launching into, like, we're just going to be starting a whole new circle.
Yes, yes, yeah. Oh, oh my God. Oh my Lord. All right.
Wow.
Thank you so much for listening. We seriously hope you don't need psychological help after these episodes. Tune in next time when our brains try to wrap themselves around angels.
And oh my goodness, all of this. Thank you for hanging in here through this just wild and wonderful ride. And thanks for just being here and a part of the community. And
We're going to go have a sandwich.
yes. And we will leave you with some music that is already recorded so that we don't launch into another hour-long conversation. And we hope that you enjoy.